For the third season, RaceSpotTV welcomes the Champions of the Future's World Touring Car Championship to our schedule of broadcasts, and our coverage for the first round of the championship from Circuit Park Zolder will start after these messages.
We're so excited to be bringing the Nürburgring to everybody. It's by far the most requested track that we've ever had. I've been with iRacing since the beginning. I can't tell you how many people I've met at trade shows or racetracks and demos that we've done all across the United States and even in Europe. And it's always the most requested track that we've had. And it's always been kind of a sad answer, no, we don't have it. When are you bringing it? And we never really had a good answer. And obviously we announced this last year, and it's super exciting. I mean, it really is one of the premier tracks in the entire world.
The Nürburgring, to me as a race fan, is the holy grail of racetracks. Even from the gaming aspect, just getting that car around that track was a personal achievement by itself. It's kind of got this iconic status to it that makes it different than any other track in the world.
We actually have a lot of history with the Nürburgring, dating back about 20 years. We created a version of the track for Grand Prix Legends, which was a Formula One simulation for the PC. But this will be the first time that we've worked on the track with laser scan data, highly precise measurements, and of course the iRacing standards of quality. So we're really excited about this project, and we can't wait to release it. There are two main facilities at Nürburgring. There's the Grand Prix course, which is basically a modern F1 style racetrack. And then there's the Nordschleife itself, which has been around for decades. And of course, the combined course, where you can take the Grand Prix course, drive around it, and then there's a point where you branch off onto the Nordschleife and you continue there all the way around the Nordschleife and then back down to the Grand Prix course. And the end result is an extremely large, unique racetrack. We arrived with a really large crew. Actually, 4 of us made the trip, and we spent a week there photographing the track, taking video recordings of the racetrack, the surroundings, the scenery, the towns. And when it's all said and done, we returned home with a massive amount of data. If you took our largest project ever, this is probably 4 times that size. So it's going to take a lot of work, but it's really our plan and our intent not to cut any corners and really produce and create the best version of the Nürburgring possible that we can. The terrain and topography of the area that surrounds the Nürburgring is really important to the character and accuracy and feel of the track. We're really working on new ways and methods and types of data that we can use to build the best topography and best terrain model possible. And it will be something never before seen in iRacing or racing sims in general. We have a laser scan of the track, and that laser scan is incredibly dense. Essentially, there's so many points that you could take a quarter and lay it on the laser points, and the quarter wouldn't fall through. So we're taking that level of detail from the scan, and we're trying to translate that into what you see in the sim.
You won't find the level of detail that we bring to tracks anywhere else. You guys expect that from us, and we'll continue to do that. It's not just purely laser scanned. It really will have personality, and I think that that's what's going to make our track unique.
Welcome to Circuit Park Zolder. Welcome to the third season of the Champions of the Future's World Touring Car Championship here on RaceSpotTV as we head ourselves to Belgium's second track for the first round of a new season. The drivers are right now just lining themselves up behind the RaceSpotTV first safety car, Wilkinson, along with Johnny Simone and Brenton O'Brien, as we will run through your starting grid for tonight's event. Race number 1, of course, of 2 here at Circuit Park Zolder, and it will be Ashley Sutton starting this race on pole position. Michael Hall in second, so it's a CQR lockout on the front row of the grid. Ashley Blake Hood in third, Ben Palmer in that 4th position. We head on back, look through the grid, and well, it's going to be a great race here today, Johnny.
Certainly is. Good to see a couple of new names near the front as well. Ashley Blake Hood, we know, was there for a couple of races towards the end of Season 2. He's into P3. Great qualifying session, as well as a new guy, Jake Blackhall, an Australian as well, in 5th position. 2 guys who could impress today. How will they fare in this 20-minute event coming up?
We will find out over the course of this event here. Of course, and the entire season lives here on RaceSpotTV, your home for some of the biggest sim races in the world. As you see the field currently working themselves behind the RaceSpotTV first safety car here. And these drivers will get themselves ready to rumble in just a couple of moments time here. That's the last part of your grid. As we get a look then up above at this wonderful racetrack here, and let's get a look at this magnificent racing surface as these drivers now just completing that process, getting themselves ready to run themselves down for the start of this event here on RaceSpotTV, as the field is already getting themselves going here. Let's have a look at them then as they work themselves down the back. Straight away we look at the field working themselves behind the RaceSpotTV first safety car. This is down towards that very difficult chicane here, and you've got to of course be careful here, Johnny, because it's so easy on this racetrack to cut a chicane and cost yourself about 3-4 seconds, of course, in 1 lap, and that essentially means your entire race could be over in just 1 heartbeat.
Certainly does. Every 10th matters when you're racing around Zolder, and very tight as well, the circuit today. So we're going to see some close racing, and drivers with that little extra courage will certainly stick it up the inside of different corners here today. So, well, as the pace car's pulling into the final few corners of the lap, this should be another great season. I'm looking forward to kicking it off.
Yeah, just worked for themselves now out of Boulderberg to the Hosdelbocht. That is turn number 8 towards Rockenrindbocht. Turn number 9 down in towards the final chicane. There you can see your field heading themselves down now. We put the field then in the command of that driver out front. It is the one and only Ashley Sutton, back to where he belongs, front of the field, and we can see him now beginning to build up the pace as he works himself out of just the Xbox. Turn number 10 towards the green flag for a new season here in Champions of the Futures World Touring Car Championship. Green flag in the air, and a very slow start by Michael Hall. That'll be 3 positions lost there, down towards turn number 1 for the first time. Sutton, great run. Blake Hood right behind him, 2-3 wide behind, but what a poor start there by Michael Hall, down at P number 6 right now, Johnny.
Oh wow, Michael Hall very slow off the line. I'm not sure if it was reactions or whether he got caught up, but from the front row he's down into let's believe that's 6th position, no 5th position at the moment. No, indeed 6th. So he's struggling. He's trying to fight towards Jake Blackhall as well now. He's going to try and go around the outside. The battle for the lead's getting pretty intense.
Yeah, there we can see Ashley Blake Hood moving himself for the time being to the point there in that number 802 car. Go on, Johnny.
Michael Hall off the track got punted off. I think that might have been Magic Sagovic missing his braking point. Yes, so, oh no, it's not Magic Sagovic, someone else in the back. So, wow, big contact there. He took out both Michael Hall and I believe, oh, there's more contact as well.
Yeah, there's a couple more drivers going very slowly. You've got yourself a driver on Matthew Bunn right now. Turn around even. That is down into the second chicane. We're having a look there through the dust. We're having a look as the drivers come down into, oh, there you can see 2 cars turn around down into that first chicane. 3 cars actually involved in the overall incident. Number 29 car was involved in that one as well. That is Tyler Jones. And that number 29 car, we can see him here. And we have a look then. We'll stay with this replay for the time being. It's useful to stay looking at this second replay. As you can see, the Pete Newman car there getting pushed sideways. number 1 CQR car of Michael Hall involved as well. And for a moment there, it looks like the number 1 car of Hall became a battering ram down into that second chicane there, Johnny.
Yeah, it did. So Tyler Jones was the one involved, but it wasn't his fault. I think one of the Pete Newman racing cars collected him. Pretty much a domino effect. He went into others. Ben Palmer slowing down as well, I believe. So Ben Palmer near the back of the pack now in 11th position's got issues.
Yep, so we saw a replay on board of Michael Hall. We got a couple of people down at the very rear of your field right now. Alexander Day, you can see him there just working himself towards turn number 1. He's the last driver on the racetrack. You have got a driver coming out of pit road. That is Jake Blacknell there, the Aussie driver, the number 97 car. And Brenton, well, that's not what we want to see from the first Aussie in this series.
Nah, devastated for him. I know he was really keen. Well, we saw the first lap incident there, and he was just a passenger, had nothing to do with him. But yeah, it's race 1 of a very long series, so he's got a lot of time to get back into this.
There you can see battle for P number 2, P number 3 going on right now. This is Rossi Laidler in P3 trying to close up to Ashley Sutton, who's actually in P2. We saw Ashley Blake Hood go into the race lead earlier on, Johnny. And while Sutton right now slow starts the race, this is not what you expect generally from Sutton in that CQR number 16 machine. Blake Hood, an incredible start to this race for him. But also, Rossi Laidler, last time by, was faster than Sutton. He will be as fast, if not faster, once again as they pass the stripe.
Yeah, so we'll see now lap times as they cross the line for Ashley Sutton. Previous lap around the 1 minute 33.4 for Russell Laidler, 4/10 faster than that. So Ashley Sutton on the back foot at the moment. Laidler though goes off the track at turn 1, costs him a few tenths there as well. The good thing for Ashley Sutton is he finishes races off stronger than he starts them. So now it's all head up and head forward for him as he chases towards the lead and chases towards stealing it from Ashley Blake Hood.
There you can see Rusty Laidler there in that number 87 car working himself now. Out of turn number 4 is Lucien Banksterbocht down towards the clean chicane. This is turn number 5. It's kind of ironic, Johnny. You go to an American racetrack and it's 5A, 5B, 5B, 5C, 5D, 5E. And here, an entire chicane is called turn 5. In fact, you've got certain parts of the racetrack. Turn number 7 is a chicane and 2 right-handers. That's 4 different corners in one corner name.
Yeah, so it's the corners they're coming across right now are very confusing, so it's pretty much based over one corner. Europeans like to be more efficient, Americans like to be more accurate, we can tell from at least corner names. And well, at the moment though, Russell Laidler really pushing to the limit. Can he catch up to the top 2? It seems not though. He's maintained the gap to Ashley Blake Hood at 2.5 seconds. More importantly though, we talked about Sutton getting into that rhythm and fighting for the lead. Now he's already less than a second behind Ashley Blake Hood for the lead.
Yeah, we just saw Robert Fagg there. We'll get ourselves a quick replay of this one. Fagg getting pushed off the racetrack. Actually, I believe that is Liam Aikens getting pushed off the racetrack. We have a look there at Aikens in that number 47 car down in towards the final corner, getting pushed there, pushing himself completely off the racetrack, and that means that he is now down into P number 9 on the racetrack. And he's actually got a bit of pressure right now from Tyler Jones, who is scored at the rear end of your top 10. But Michael Hall trying to come back through the field right now, Brenton, pushing Robert Fagg in this battle for P number 7, P number 8. And Hall needs to get going. He's the championship defender right here, and he does not want his first race of the season to be as low as P8. And he's hounding onto rear Robert Fagg, almost bump drafting him down this back straightaway.
The last up of a 34 flat, so making the move inside of Fag now, so he's going to get the job done there. But yeah, he needs to get on his bike a bit here and make up as many positions as he can.
There we can see then Hall gets himself past another the inside line down in towards turn number 6, Boutique corner, down in towards Trenlerbach, turn number 7. And well, Michael Hall will have himself the advantage, and he will use himself now up into the 7th position. But we're having a look at our graphic on screen, down 6 places, Johnny. This is not the Michael Hall we know and love.
No, certainly not. Of course, out of his control, he was in incidents where someone else tagged him from behind, some first lap incidents. So important in the series to avoid them. You need to obviously get out of any trouble in any racing series, but here in Champions of the Future, you can redeem yourself in race 2, the reverse grid, the 35-minute thriller we know coming up in 13.5 minutes time after this one. So Michael Hall crossing the line, slowly creeping his way up towards Paul Smith in 6th position, and then maybe a few more ahead. His teammate though, Ashley Sutton, there in 2nd position, and another teammate, Miles Kletzley, in 5th. So the CQR guys looking very strong.
Yeah, they are getting stronger. I've got to ask you one question though, Johnny. Is it a thriller in Manila?
A thriller? Sorry, say it again?
Is it a thriller in Manila?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah.
He has no idea what
Maybe
we're talking
not.
about, does he, Brenton?
I know where Manila
first
is.
time.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay,
Stephen Burke
yeah.
right now. Battling with Magic. P number 12, P number P11, P12 even. Magic in that number 8 car. They can see the gap. It's just literally nothing as we have a look from the rear of Magic down in towards the first chicane, the clean chicane, turn number 5. And Magic will keep a hold of that position for the time being. Of course, he is down 2 positions so far. His last lap time though, just a 10th.5 slower than his fastest lap of the race so far, as they head themselves now down into the second chicane, turn number 7 on the racetrack. And, well, actually, battle for the race lead. Sutton right up all of a sudden behind, looking down to the inside as they come down in towards the final chicane. Ashley Sutton, will he be able to get the job done there on the outside? Will he be able to get the momentum? He's got himself right behind him, Rossi Laidler. No, he won't. But Sutton, all of a sudden, is right back into this, Johnny.
Oh, I tell you what as well, Russell Laidler's trying to pounce. He had a poor exit. No, up the inside, Ashley Sutton just throws it in there and he gets first position. That's a great move from him, surprising Ashley Blake Hood, and now Sutton moves into P1. We know how strong he was. Couldn't run full-time last season. This is what he's trying to prove. He could have won the championship and stole it from Michael Hall, his teammate, but can he maintain the lead? Ashley Blake Hood's trying to prevent that, giving him a little tap through the next corner.
Let's get ourselves a Super Slow-Mo replay then, brought to you by Antoine Design. Down in towards turn 1 there, you can see Ashley Sutton bring himself down into the inside. It was simple. It was academic when all was said and done. Sutton now past Blake Hood, and of course Hood trying to now resist the pressure from Rusty Laidler, who runs himself in the 3rd place. In 4th is Pete Newman for the time being. It's all going on all of a sudden here, and we still got ourselves, well, 11 minutes of this race to go here, Johnny.
So plenty of action, and that's not surprising considering now in this series it's always close as Ashley Blake Hood tries to go up the inside again. Sutton gives him space side by side now, and Ashley Blake Hood into the lead. And tell you what, Ashley Sutton's on the back foot now from Russell Laidler in 3rd position. This could be a top 4 battle as well, as Pete Newman's trying to pounce where he can though, and the exit though is very poor for Russell Laidler. He's lost out so much time. Will Ashley Blake Hood learn from that little dive bomb that Sutton pulled on him, and will he defend up the inside here across the main straight?
Down the front straight away they come. Let's ride a lap then on board with this driver. It's the one and only Ashley Sutton. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is what we call a lap on board with one of the greatest people ever to step into the series. It's Ashley Sutton down to the inside, down towards turn number 1. That was magnificent. He pushes wide though. Blake Hood on the inside line, the outside line even down towards turn number 2. But Sutton will defend that inside line. Sutton back to the point. Perfect execution there as they work themselves down in towards turn number 2 and 3. What a move by Sutton there. Move himself back to the race lead, Johnny.
Oh, well, nice job, Ashley Sutton, just throwing up the inside. A good job against us. The second time he's done that. 8 minutes left in this race. How many times will he need to do it? How many times will Ashley Blake Hood get back into first position? For the moment, though, he's not running away with this lead, Ashley Sutton. Actually, no. Just talking about that, Ashley Blake Hood, I think, might have a slowdown penalty, and he's going to drop down to P4, so absolutely heartbreaking for him. Up in the lead almost the whole race, pretty much the whole race, and now, well, he's going to have to make up for it as fast as he can. He's slowly falling down. Oh, so his race at the moment, well, Russell Laidlow's taking his position in the attack for the lead.
Yeah, there's a look then. Ashley Blake Hood having to give up 1, then 2 positions, and what a shame there for Ashley Blake Hood, who had been so strong in today's event. Of course, one of the things about this series, though, Johnny, is it means that we can think not only about now, but to about 25 minutes' time. So the second race of the day, where Blake Hood, when in his position, he may well actually be the favourite to win race number 2 because of the fact that, well, we know that how good he is on a single lap by lap basis. And I'm just having a look at the fastest lap times of the day. Ashley Blake Hood has himself the second fastest lap, but Sutton will have to come from behind him as it stands right now.
Yeah, so Sutton really, well, he's got someone to challenge him for the lead at the moment. He's not going to breeze past it, and there's someone else as well. We know Russell Laidlaw still keeping Ashley Sutton honest for the moment. So Sutton not as dominant as we thought he would be for this race with 6.5 minutes remaining. Plenty of time for anything to happen as well. Almost 3/4 through this event. We look at those pit stops though for race 2. The pit lane here is so interesting. Not just the entry, but the exit as well. So drivers who have practiced the most will pay their dividends from that.
Well, we're having a look then at the rest of these drivers, as we're having a look on board now of Ashley Sutton as he works himself back in on the racetrack. The gap between himself and second place, which is now Rusty Laidlaw, is currently classified as 7/10 of a second. Your top 5 is Sutton from Laidlaw, from Newman from Blake Hood, then Michael Hall rounding out your top 5, your biggest movers and shakers in this event so far. Left hand side of your screen, Laidlaw has got himself pretty much no mentioning at all here, Brenton, but he is currently classified in P number 2.
Yeah, from 6 on the grid, worked his way up to second, and like you said, it hasn't been mentioned a lot, and he's just doing a sensational job keeping his nose clean and putting pressure on our leader, Ashley Sutton, at the moment.
Well, down he works himself towards the start-finish line once again, as we've got ourselves, what, 5.5 minutes now of this race to go. Looking at the lap times, they take about 1 minute 30 to go a piece, Johnny, so we know we've got 4 laps of this event to go.
Hey, Zolder, lovely circuit in Belgium. We know hosting the Formula 1 Grand Prix on about 10 occasions, might have been in the 70s and 80s, so plenty of history here as well. Good to see that it's another great circuit picked by the Champions of the Future administration. They know that these cars race around most circuits well, but there are some circuits that outshine others. At the moment, though, as well, we look at battles outshining others. It's Pete Newman right onto the back of Ashley Blake Hood. Only 4/10 the gap between those two for the final podium position.
Yeah, we're looking bored with Pete Newman. His last lap just 0.2 of a second shy of the fastest lap he has done all day long in that Pete Newman number 58 cars. We have a look then on board of him through the second chicane. Turn number 7, that run now down to Boulder's Hartzenbucht. Turn number 8. Well, this has been a good little race for Pete Newman now as he works himself through turn number 8. That short run down towards some 9 and 10 to complete the lap here at Circuit Park Zolder. 4 minutes of this race to go. Pete Newman looking to get himself a podium finish here today, Johnny.
Yeah, and it might certainly come right now because Ashley Blake Hood skipping over and bouncing over the anti-cut curbs in that final corner. Will Pete Newman do a little Ashley Sutton move here and throw it up the inside? He's not as confident, maybe he's too far behind as well. We'll give him that excuse as he tries to sweep through turn 1 and then go towards the fast sweeping right-hander at turn 2. So Pete Newman at the moment, we know as Brenton just mentioned to me as well, just it took about, or he's in a little bit of contact in the first couple of laps, and that certainly did not help his chances. Maybe a few protests after the race.
Yeah, so we'll keep an eye out on that one then as we keep it on with Pete Newman. But just 1 second, now we're going to flick away from him. Your top 5, well, it's still Sutton leading. The gap between himself and Lader now 6/10 of a second. 3 minutes of this event to go. Here's an interesting point. Every single driver is on the lead lap, Brenton. Ben Palmer is a driver scored last on the lead lap, but we know that he is one of the faster drivers out here. Reverse grid-wise, he could very well become a huge factor as far as race number 2 goes.
That's the beauty of the reverse grid, isn't it? It's going to really give these guys who have had incidents in race 1 the chance to make it up in the second race. And yeah, Ben Palmer, quick enough, we know that. He's been quick all week in practice, quickest in practice in fact. So yeah, the opportunity is there to get a good result, and the day's certainly not done.
Well, there you now see down towards turn number 8 is that turn number 8? No, it's not. It's turn number 4. That's Duchamp box now. That Ben Palmer's working himself all the way down in P number 18. But let's have a look a little bit further up. Miles Coletti battling it out with Paul Smith.
No! The lead, the battle for the lead. Sorry to cut you off, Will. Sutton's run wide. That's allowed Layla to hopefully, or not, well, maybe lead. Well, I want to see a battle here side by side, and they do that indeed. So Sutton now he's on the back foot. So Layla does indeed take the lead. Great battling from these two.
Yeah, as you can see there, the driver of Rusty Lader now leads the way as they work themselves down towards turn number 4 once again. And you can see that Sutton is trying every single way possible to try and find a way through. Lader pushing a little bit wide there as we look on board with Lader right now just for a moment. But Sutton going to put that pressure through, and Sutton's going to look down to the inside. Sutton will indeed go past with 100 seconds of this race. Go! Lader's going to push wide. That's game over, really. Lader, look at this though. You're trying to be defensive there to make that gap as small as possible. But Lader has all of a sudden given that race win back to the driver of Ashley Sutton, Johnny.
Oh, so Russell Laidler really fighting for that win. That's how much he wants it. He runs wide at a corner. He's very optimistic in the defensive maneuver there, and it didn't pay off for him. So Laidler now down into P3. His race not over, though. He only had a few seconds slowdown, so he can still fight for at least P2. Who knows? Will Ashley Sutton make another mistake on this final lap of the race as we approach it now when the drivers cross the line? So white flag, intense battle. The top 4 within 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, we're just taking a look then on the replay from Rusty Laidler down into the chicane, and 1, 2, 3, a little bit wide, and it's all over there for Rusty Laidler. He's got Nicholas Cage. It's not Nicholas Cage, it's Anchorman actually on top. I take that one back. There you can see it is the one and only Mr. Anchorman there, Ron Burgundy, as he falls wide again the second time around. That cost him more positions. Down though to the final lap of today's race here on RaceSpotTV. As here we can see drivers working themselves now on their final lap of the day. There is Ashley Sutton. This is down towards the first chicane of the day. Get a look from our aerial coverage brought to you today by And1 Design. There's your biggest movers and shakers. In fact, there is your top 18 drivers left hand side of your screen, and their last lap time. Sutton leading the way from Ashley Blake Hood as far as fastest laps goes. But then we cycle it now to have a look at the biggest movers and shakers, and well, Blake Hood is back up into P number 2. That's a bit of a surprise. We'll talk about that one after the end of this event, because now Ashley started working himself down in towards turn number 8 on 7, even on the racetrack. Turn number 8 he comes into now, down for Jochen Richterbock. Turn number 9 for the final time in today's event. The time has expired. The checker flag will be out this time by, and Ashley Sutton is back to winning ways here in the Champions of the Futures World Touring Car Championship. It will be Ashley Blake Hood in second, Rusty Laidler in third, and Pete Newman in fourth. Michael Hall rounding out your top 5. But finally, Ashley Sutton looks as though, Johnny, he's back to his dominant ways.
He started off last season perfectly, and now for season 3 he does it again. Ashley Sutton wins the race. Very, very close though with that top 4. 2.3 seconds splitting them all at the end. Good job from Michael Hall though in 5th. Slowly made his way back through the field and really compensating for his loss of points on the first lap.
Yeah, Ashley Blake Hood has been as low as 4th place, as high as 1st. He's been all over the place here today. He comes home in 2nd place. We'll get a look at your final race results in just one moment's time. Looking for the last couple of drivers then to work themselves past the start-finish line. A wonderful shot here up above at Circuit Park Zolder. Our aerial coverage today is brought to you by and One Designs. Just zoom up and they can see the river that just goes alongside this racetrack. We zoom it back in. They can see turn number 3 and 4. It looks a lot more complicated, turn number 3, than what you can actually expect. And that is Stuttgart box that you're looking at right now into canal box, turn number 3. Because surprisingly enough, canal box means it's canal corner, Johnny.
Yeah. So, well, great race. I'm looking forward to the next one. And Zolder, it's nice to see, as we talked about, the pit lane entry and exit, and it's going to make things interesting for the 35-minute thriller ahead of us as well. Maybe a little bit extra fuel this season as well allowed for the drivers, so we're going to see drivers maybe extend it to the latter stages of the race as well. There's also the talk as well of the standing start, so different to the rolling start this time around. We know drivers sometimes struggle to get the car off the line, and that will also, well, it'll be a big factor come race 2.
Yep, the drivers need to know what their shiny pedal is at the start of this race. Then let's have a look at your final race result from race number 1 of a new season. Ashley Sutton then claiming victory by 6 tenths of a second over Ashley Blake Hood, who was battling with Sutton right until the end of the race, but then decided they didn't want to respect the track limits and go a little bit wide. Rusty Laidler in 3rd, Peterman in 4th, and then Michael Hall running out your top 5. Top 8 drivers are all from Great Britain. Your first non-British driver was Magic Sankovic in P number 9, and the American driver Tyler Jones running out your top 10. Heading on back, it's Burke in 11th, Hamilton, Byrne and Day in 14th. Then your first Aussie driver, Jake Blackhall in P number 15. Brandon, Palmer and Fagg running at your field. All but one drivers finishing on the lead lap. The driver who didn't, well, that was Robert Fagg in that 18th position. We will step aside for just one moment's time. We'll be back with mid-race interviews here on the Mid-Race RaceSpotTV show, brought to you by And One Design. After these messages, you're watching RaceSpotTV.
We're so excited to be bringing the Nürburgring to everybody. It's by far the most requested track that we've ever had. I've been with iRacing since the beginning. I can't tell you how many people I've met at trade shows or racetracks and demos that we've done all across the United States and even in Europe. And it's always the most requested track that we've had. And it's always been kind of a sad answer, no, we don't have it. When are you bringing it? And we never really had a good answer. And obviously we announced this last year, and it's super exciting. I mean, it really is one of the premier tracks in the entire world.
The Nürburgring, to me as a race fan, is the holy grail of racetracks. Even from the gaming aspect, just getting that car around that track was a personal achievement by itself. It's kind of got this iconic status to it that makes it different than any other track in the world.
We actually have a lot of history with the Nürburgring, dating back about 20 years. We created a version of the track for Grand Prix Legends, which was a Formula One simulation for the PC. But this will be the first time that we've worked on the track with laser scan data, highly precise measurements, and of course the iRacing standards of quality. So we're really excited about this project, and we can't wait to release it. There are two main facilities at Nürburgring. There's the Grand Prix course, which is basically a modern F1 style racetrack. And then there's the Nordschleife itself, which has been around for decades. And of course, the combined course, where you can take the Grand Prix course, drive around it, and then there's a point where you branch off onto the Nordschleife and you continue there all the way around the Nordschleife and then back down to the Grand Prix course. And the end result is an extremely large, unique racetrack. We arrived with a really large crew. Actually, 4 of us made the trip, and we spent a week there photographing the track, taking video recordings of the racetrack, the surroundings, the scenery, the towns. And when it's all said and done, we returned home with a massive amount of data. If you took our largest project ever, this is probably 4 times that size. So it's going to take a lot of work, but it's really our plan and our intent not to cut any corners and really produce and create the best version of the Nürburgring possible that we can. The terrain and topography of the area that surrounds the Nürburgring is really important to the character and accuracy and feel of the track. We're really working on new ways and methods and types of data that we can use to build the best topography and best terrain model possible. And it will be something never before seen in iRacing or racing sims in general. We have a laser scan of the track, and that laser scan is incredibly dense. Essentially, there's so many points that you could take a quarter and lay it on the laser points, and the quarter wouldn't fall through. So we're taking that level of detail from the scan, and we're trying to translate that into what you see in the sim.
You won't find the level of detail that we bring to tracks anywhere else. You guys expect that from us, and we'll continue to do that. It's not just purely laser scanned. It really will have personality, and I think that that's what's going to make our track unique.
My eyesight means a lot to me.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to RaceSpotTV for the RaceSpotTV mid-race show brought to you by And One Design. We've got the crazy bunch of people who you love to see on Tuesday nights, all waiting to get their teeth into an interview. We'll start down at the very bottom. Robert Fagg, please call up BT Internet, Virgin Media or PlusNet and tell them that their internet chuffing sucks.
Yeah, it was very fast wireless. It sucks.
Wait, you're using wireless?
Yeah, it's a fixed Wi-Fi broadband connection. It's because of where I live. It's shocking.
So you don't understand what a Cat5 cable is?
What's that?
Yeah, moving on. At the front of the field, Ashley Sutton, welcome back to Victory Lane.
Thanks, Will.
How was it? It was a pretty close race, actually, with Ashley Blakehood.
Yeah, before we obviously started the race, we were in the practice and qualifying, obviously. He was saying how good their setup was through the racing, so that obviously that showed. We never really do a race run, and that shows as well. But no, it's good racing, good clean racing, so it's a great way to start.
Well, you got yourself a victory. Race number 2, that means you're starting from the very rear of the field, bar one driver, because actually Robert Fagg can't be bothered to finish races. So is it going to be tough? Because Zolder can be hard to pass, and that first and second chicanes can make life very difficult for drivers.
It's always going to be hard here. It's tight and twisty and very, very narrow. So you're lucky to get 2 abreast, let alone 3, as we found in that first race. But it's going to be interesting. Not going to be easy, but we'll see.
You know what, Johnny? Tight and twisty. That was just like my ex.
Oh, good call. But we'll shift our focus and attention to second place finisher Ashley Blakehood. Great race from you and Ashley Sutton, mentioning your race pace being on par with the leaders as well. Very good from you. So only 6 tenths down. Disappointing race, or do you think you'll take the positives from race 1?
I mean,
where I finished doesn't really matter when about a race like that. It was great fun. I just really upset that I gave myself a slowdown with a few laps to go. But I mean, I wish I'd won it, but doesn't every race driver?
We look at pit stops as well for race 2, and we know how difficult it is at this track with the uncanny entry, and as well as if that's not enough, the exit is quite weird. So been practicing that hopefully, and hopefully you can gain a couple of seconds, a few tenths even through that pit stop phase to make your way up through the front of this reverse grid field.
Yeah, I mean, the setup we've been working on has proved itself in the race now, and if we get those pit stops absolutely spot on, then we should be good to go. But that pit exit, I think I've ended up on my roof more times coming out of there this week than I have any other pit lane I've ever been down. But yeah, should be interesting.
So let's see how that fares out in race 2. Very interesting. Will, we know how difficult it is of the pit lane entry. I mentioned it in race 1, I just mentioned it now, and that could certainly be the difference between a win, maybe P2 or P3 come race 2.
Oh, and it could also mean the difference between a win or a safety car win and you actually being at the very end of the field. At the start of the season, you need to have yourself as many points as you possibly can to give yourself that championship momentum heading into the first round of the championship. And, well, next up, we've got someone else to talk to, and that will be the driver who, hopefully in 1 minute, I will actually be able to figure out who came in third place after my computer is completely frozen. But simultaneously, what it does mean is I can show you how I can blag for as long as I possibly humanly can. Be number 3, Rusty Ladler. Rusty Ladler, hello.
That's a nice welcome back to the podium. First time in a full season, that.
I know, Rusty, you're back, and you don't even give me someone dirty to talk about this time. It's just you.
I don't know, you obviously haven't sussed on at the 2 team names. We lost the old arsehole sponsor from last season due to my rubbish performance. We got really lucky and we managed to pick up Holy Balls and Tiger's Wood for this season, and it seems to be showing that the new funding, the new car, the new chassis, it's working absolutely perfect for us.
How is Tiger's Wood?
Long and brown.
Well, there we are.
Until the last hole.
In fact, you have to ask Ashley Blake Hood that one, really, because that's more their side. We seem to be more for religious testicles.
Well, what we do know better than anything else, is the fact that you have got yourself a podium here. We will head ourselves to another round of the championship in just a couple of moments' time. Are you confident?
I'm quietly confident. The start of the race, everything just seemed to click for me. My pace was okay in qualifying. I was hoping for a top 5. To basically find myself in third place and actually holding on, and at one point fighting for the lead. That was the confidence boost that I needed. Like I said, last season was a total mess for me. I think the best I finished was 5th, over the whole season. So
of course,
it's nice to be at the sharp end again.
Well, we will talk to you at the end of race number 2 here on RaceSpotTV. We've also got ourselves Paul Smith. Paul Smith, you're a RaceSpotTV commentator. That means you must interview yourself.
Oh, Jesus. Do you really want me to do this?
Yeah.
So then, Paul, how was your race? Well, thank you for asking me. I thought I had a good race. It was a bit of battling. I had a few contacts with a few people. And, well, it could have been better. I got into the back of Miles Colletti and Liam Atkins, so I do apologise to them for that. But, yeah, should be a good second race. I feel confident on the race pace, and hopefully I can stop getting the off tracks.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, there we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's an interview from one RaceSpotTV commentator to one RaceSpotTV driver here on RaceSpotTV, where we like to be efficient and useful in how we do things. We finally have ourselves the opportunity to talk to maybe 1, maybe 2 more drivers. I'm doing too many things at once here. Johnny, over back to you.
Yeah, so let's. I want to actually talk to where is he? Pete Newman. Pete, are you there? Hopefully. Hello? Hey, Pete. Okay. This is. I'm having a gamble here at a driver who might, give us their strategy for race 2. Do you think it's worthy to pit early and avoid the traffic, or stay out in the field as long as you can and battle and have some fun with the drivers instead?
I don't know. It's going to depend really. It all depends what track and how the race is running, I suppose.
So no insight into your secret strategy this race too?
No, not really. I mean, I'm just going to play it. Get 5 laps under my belt, see how the fuel's going, see how the race is panning out, and then decide if it's good to come in early or not from there.
So, interesting, Will, as race 2 approaches in a few minutes' time. Let's see where Pete Newman, as well as the rest of the field, handle the reverse grid and that mandatory pit stop they all have to make. Going to be one heck of a race 2, as usual.
Yeah, how long is it until we go actually green for this race, guys?
About
3.
5.5.
Probably about 2.5 minutes.
Right, we'll be back after this message. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The RaceSpotTV World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn 1 for the first time.
Back towards race 2 here for the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship. Race 2, Season 3 coming up shortly. Your grid will be on your screen as Ben Palmer indeed does have pole position, so he's been gifted that after finishing on the lead lap and in last position last race around. And Brenton now for this race, only a few seconds to go. Standing start will always make things interesting.
Yeah, wheels and with the reverse grid concept, we're underway shortly.
Well, only a few seconds until the green flag will go as the lights illuminate towards the drivers. Ben Palmer staring avidly at that in first position. Jake Blackhall there in second as the light illuminate now. The engines rev up and we go green for 35 minutes of racing. A great start from Alexander Day in third position. The second stage not so well. Ben Palmer having to defend from Jake Blackhall now, and into the first corner the top 3 maintain their positions. Oh, big contact as well between Alexander Day and Jake Blackhall there, and that's going to allow, I think that might be in P4, That is someone that Stephen Burke sees up into P3. Bit of contact in the back though, Brenton.
That'll be enough. That'll be enough. That should be enough to actually bring the caution out there, Johnny, as well. Look at the number of drivers involved in that one. Number of drivers out, and hopefully, Johnny, well, the caution should come out for that one, because that's a big, big incident.
Yeah, so the steward's throwing that out for the moment, so caution now, big incident there at the front of the pack. We'll hopefully get a replay as well to view that, so a big chain reaction as well. I'm looking at it from Pete Newman's vision. He's right in the middle, so many cars sliding off the circuit, and not the best way you want to end your day. Very cold tyres as well, we know it will, because in these early stages of the race, of course, you're going to have cold tyres off the grid.
The big difference is the difference between a standing start and a rolling start, I think, in this sort of thing. The rolling start, you get yourself a lot of temperature into that tyre. You can weave that tyre temperature in, so on and so forth. And a standing start, you have no tyre temperature at all. You're sat on the grid for 2 minutes in some cases before you start a race, and what that means is these guys are pretty much stone cold when you come to the point when to brake for the first time. And that's what we saw here today. Ellis Stevens and Magic Cyclovich, and let's not forget, Johnny, Magic is one of those drivers who we thought might well break into the top 5 this year.
Yeah, so improvement always, and he aimed for it as well. We know last season he tried to really fight for it as well. Fight for those top 5 and top 10 positions now. How will his race 2 fare out from here? Currently in last position as the drivers round the final corner, the final little chicane there, named after Jackie Ickx, the famous Formula 1 driver we know, as Ben Palmer does indeed lead the race for the moment. Jake Blackhall still behind. These two with great race pace, Brenton. We know that strategy will also play a part in this race. How do you think that maybe will they run it to a long in the stint, or do you think they'll pit early? But there's no point to pit early because we know that there's no traffic for them to avoid.
Well, these guys do have the race pace. We saw that in race 1. You know, don't let the position belittle what they tried to achieve in race 1. They did have good pace throughout. Yeah, I can't see the point in them pitting early, like you said, if they've got a clear track in front of them behind the safety car at the moment, obviously. But you know, once the race is up and going again, these two have got the potential to get away from the field, pit when it suits them, to try and steer clear of all the traffic. It's the guys behind who have to do all the work here.
Yeah, indeed. So Ben Palmer rounds turn 4 behind the pace car for the moment. 32 minutes still remaining. Pace car will hopefully be in sometime soon. So we'll go to a commercial break and we'll be back after these messages. This is RaceSpotTV's coverage of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship. Welcome back to Race 2 of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship, exclusively live on RaceSpotTV. The drivers currently behind the pace car with a few incidents on lap 1, and now this is going to affect strategy quite a lot, Will. We know in these early stages some drivers who maybe would have pitted early have now got the option of adjusting their strategy.
Yeah, about 3 drivers just saw that coming onto pit road a moment ago. Don't forget, by the way, that the 2015 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 takes place in just 3 weeks' time here on RaceSpotTV. Catch myself, Paul Vincent, Aaron Likens, Paul Jenkins, Rachel Whiteford for that one. That'll be on May 30th from 4 p.m. Eastern Time as we bring you one of the world's greatest sim racing events. But Johnny, 4 drivers there coming onto pit road doesn't mean much for now, but it will do once the traffic comes into play later on in this event.
Yeah, certainly does. We'll see them slowly clear the field as the others pit. So now they're going to rejoin the back of the field. That's going to make things very interesting for them as well, because they don't have to make that pit stop in green flag conditions. All they have to do now is catch up to the back. Quick pit stop for Tyler Jones as he comes out as well. We know Paul Smith and Keith Hamilton also made trips in the pit lane. So, well, they will obviously have to make one more stop, actually. We know in green flag conditions, so correct myself there. And that's certainly going to make things interesting for their race, Brenton.
Yeah, it will. Wouldn't be surprised if Stevens might get a drive-through there. His pit exit across the white line, so just something to watch out for there. But the safety car's lights are off and we're almost ready to go green again this lap.
There we go, Ben Palmer getting ready to back the field up as he comes towards turn 7 on the run down to 8. And you'll, well, this is very interesting. Pace car starts, always in for something unique. And now Ben Palmer is slowly getting the pedal to the metal and he's pushing it. No, he backs off again. So now as they come towards turn 8, they'll go through 9 and then on towards 10 to begin. Finally, green flag racing here for race 2. 27.5 minutes to go. When will Ben Palmer floor it? You see a big, crazy field of drivers behind, and they're all slowly waiting to see when this chain will pull away. So Ben Palmer still waiting, still backing the field up, weaving his tires, trying to get some temperature in. He'll round these couple of corners and he floors it now. So Ben Palmer already on a charge through this final corner, and he's gained already. He's got a second gap to Jake Blackhall. Green flag now. Green flag conditions for race 2. Jake Blackhall still in second position. The drivers still into formation as they head towards turn 1 there, Will.
Yeah, and they can see your top 3 drivers and the gaps between the pace car nice and safely back down into its box. We don't hope to see that here today anymore. We got ourselves most of our drivers settled down nicely into a nice little scrap going on. This is P number 6 and 7, Matthew Bunn, Pete Newman. One thing we haven't yet talked about here, Brenton, is the fact that we've had ourselves a couple of people moving up for the field in the early going. Ashley Sutton from the back of the field already up into P number 5.
Yeah, always one to watch out for, our race 1 winner. Probably benefited by the 3 guys having the early pit stop there. So, but yeah, he's moving his way through P5 now. He'll be on the back of Alexander Day, putting the pressure on, then up into the top 3.
Oh, so big battle at the moment here. Miles Klutsley in the middle of this sandwich as well. Russell Laidler trying to pounce. Ashley Sutton side by side as well. That's Alexander Day in front of him. So lots of battles throughout the field as we go towards green flag conditions. Michael Hall in 10th position. He has to make his way up through the field here. He hasn't done a good job of that so far. Still in P10. Ashley Sutton in P5 here. Brenton a 10th behind Alexander Day. This is very good from him to start the race.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's the type of thing that might make him change his pitch strategy too, whether he was going to think about pitting early. Probably not the need to now. Once he can, well, if he can get clear of Alexander Day, some pretty hard defending there on this lap. You know, if he gets the move done, I just noticed a little bit of damage on the front of Sutton's car as well. Might affect his top speed. Just coming into turn 1 now. He's probably famous for that first move here. He's done the last 2 times in the previous race and got the job done.
But he does it again. He did the previous lap as well. Now he's up into P4, and that's how you do it. This is why he won race 1. Aggressive driving, both and on the attack and on the defense. We talk about it, Will. It's not just about attacking, it's about defending in racing. So we know that you have to pick your lines right. Actually doing the job now, I don't think you'll have to worry about defending though too much in this race.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is that, and you know, I always say, oh, behind the hat, you see yourself a couple of drivers involved. Robert Fagg in that number 28 Pete Newman car, while he is crab walking all over the racetrack right now. get ourselves a replay of that one. And whilst that one's coming up, I'll just explain. This is like playing an NFL game in some ways. You know, there's some teams that are very good on offense, and some teams that are very good on defense. We'll start that replay down for you right about now and slow it down for you here. But there's some people that are very good at both attacking and defending, as you can see. Robert Fagg getting himself turned around there, down towards turn from the racetrack, synchronized spinning. Nice little output there, but while Robert Fagg is not going to be too best pleased about that one at all, as we've got Keith Hamilton on pit road, and we've got ourselves one or two other people involved in that incident simultaneously there. Matthew Bunn was there in the mix, and I believe that was Ellis Stevens who might have been there involved as well, as they worked themselves through turn number 2, Johnny.
Oh, so big incident there for, he's out of the race as well, but we look at the battle as well for P3 and P4, Ashley Sutton as well, making his way through the field. We cannot shift our attention off of him because he is on a charge at the moment, really on right behind Stephen Burke as well. He's not letting any 10th go to waste for the moment, so here we go, Ashley Sutton braking very late towards turn 4, and then they head towards the chicane at the moment. They're at 5. Look at Ashley Sutton already trying to go for the outside. Stephen Burke going defensive, and he's letting Ashley Sutton through. Doesn't want to waste much time. So Ashley Sutton gifted P3 for the moment here, Will. This is what we talk about. Ashley Sutton, not only is he intimidating on the attack, but he's quite assertive as well when he makes his passing maneuvers.
You know what? If you're Stephen Burke, you've done the right thing, because Burke has a 2.6 second advantage over Alexander Day. If Burke was to hold up Sutton, they would come back into the mix, and potentially Burke might lose that position today. Right now, he's got himself a 3, maybe 4 lap cushion. All of these drivers have got to make themselves one more pit stop. Oh, driver going very wide there. That's going to be Sutton up in position as he works himself down towards what is going to be the final chicane here. So Sutton up into P number 2 on the racetrack. The driver we saw going wide, that was Jack Blakehole by the looks of it. Or was that a lap down car? I think it was Jack Blakehole in the car number 97 machine. The Aussie driver losing in position. And that perfectly sums up the battle between offense and defense there. Jake was thinking offense. He was thinking about getting himself to the race lead. He forgot about Sutton right behind him. And if you can't do offense and defense perfectly on either side, you've got to make that compromise every single lap there, Johnny.
Yes, so Ashley Sutton now gifted another position into P2. Jake Blackhall, we're going to talk about it, Brenton. Actually, he's up into P1, but now he's slowly going to make his way through 2 fast drivers of Ben Palmer and Jake Blackhall. Now he's already got rid of one of them through a mistake. Ben Palmer now in front. Is not going to be easy for Ashley Sutton to dispose of him, although breaking very late into this turn 5 chicane. We'll see how fast he can maybe get rid of him into P1, or if he can indeed pass him at all.
Ashley's driving his own different race here. Look, his last lap of 33.5 compared with Palmer's 34.8, if you don't mind. And don't forgetting that Ashley Sutton had to clear Stephen Burke that lap. Yeah, Burke let him through. We didn't know it wasn't that hard a move. But having a look from 16th on the grid, what are we, lap 7, including the safety car lap, so deep under brake there. Magnificent driving.
Oh, almost got into Ben Palmer there in the braking zone of turn 8, and they go through 9 as well. Ashley Sutton with 21 minutes remaining, plenty of time in this race. Will any of these top 3 make their pit stop? No, they don't. They continue for another time around as, Ashley Sutton, this is the closest he's been the whole race to Ben Palmer, actually. He's only a couple tenths behind. Very close into turn 1 as well.
Oh, my God! Oh! 2 car incident down towards turn, the final corner. Got a car on pit road. This is going to block the racetrack. We may well have gone under caution there, but we're okay for the time being. Alexander Day is keeping this car on the racetrack. We could well have gone under caution there, Johnny. But Michael Hall out of the race for the time being, and he's going to have to do an another lap before he can come towards pit road. That the final chicane. Michael Hall realistically out of the race. That is going to give the driver, well, we're getting ourselves a replay of this right now. Let's get ourselves another look at this one. Exit of the final corner. We'll zoom it in. Michael Hall, number 21 car. So Michael Hall, number 1 car. Number 21 machine involved there as well. Of Alexander Day. Both them involved. And both those drivers clobbering the Armco barrier. And that is a tough way to start their season.
Yeah, so Michael Hall, the defending champion now behind Paul Smith. This is quite possibly the worst way to start his season. We know every driver has a drop round as well, so they all have a second chance to get back up and make up for those points lost here in round 1 at least, or any round throughout the season. Michael Hall, though, I don't... Oh! Yeah, so Ashley Sutton there into P3 as well. We'll have a look at what happened to him. So Sutton from P2, he's having a battle at Ben Palmer towards turn 8. We've just had word. So on towards turn 8, Ben Palmer defending the inside, Ashley Sutton on the outside. And this is what we talk about, Brenton. Ashley Sutton a lot faster than Ben Palmer now. He needed to be a little bit more patient than he was, but I guess at the moment it's easy said than done.
Yeah, and there's still time to go. You know, we know he's got the speed, but what that's done, we've got Palmer's actually pitted from that position. So we've got a new leader in the race, Jake Blackhole, in the Evolution Racing Australia car. So he's going to be mightily nervous there with Ashley Sutton breathing down his neck on lap 9.
So Ben Palmer's pit stop now as he's getting the engine revved, trying to exit towards that very difficult pit lane entry. He finally gets underway. Good pit stop from him, Will. Now he's going to make sure he gets it out of the barriers here as well, so he does. And what pit stop times for him?
Yeah, we've got a couple of you on pit road. As you allude to, you've got Magic Sajovic on pit road. Michael Hall, Ashley Blake Hood, all customary classified on pit road. Paul Smith has to done a pit stop, of course. He did it in 2.4 seconds. Ellis Stevens in 11 seconds. And Ben Palmer in 15 seconds. You see those ones on your screen. But the drivers we're caring about, Rossi Laidler, 21.7 seconds. Out and away he goes. Longest stop there for Blake Hood. Back onto the racetrack he comes now. 27 second stop. Michael Hall, 22 second stop. Matthew Bunn, 23.9. And then Liam Akins. And Alexander Day, well, this is a very long pit stop for him, Brenton, as he is going to do his service, and he'll be back out and away in about 25 seconds. By the end of it, it will be done, but he's even further than that one.
Yeah, obviously had some issues there, but yeah, up at front here, 34.2 last lap for Jake, a 34 flat for Ashley. We know he's got the speed. Just keeping half an eye on Pete Newman. He's worked his way up through to 3rd place from 13th on the grid.
30-second pit stop for Alexander Day. Wow. But a very long pit stop for Alexander Day, and he's currently out on track and now towards turns 2 and turns 3. Now, actually, let's look at Jake Blackhall. Where is he? Turn 5. So he's continuing on. Oh, he's really throwing the car into turn 5 there, keeping it together. This is how much you have to work to keep your lead away from Ashley Sutton. We know he's so intimidating there, winning race 1, showing his pace here this afternoon to be pretty well for the moment. So Jake Blackhall and Ashley Sutton, let's see when they pit. This is important. We know, Brenton, because when Ben Palmer there, he's in 7th position. How much time can he make on this in lap? He's slowly creeping in 10th by 10th. It's so important to make up every 10th we know in the pit stop phase, because it can be the difference between P1 and P3 in a battle like this.
You know what? If I'm Blackhall, you just basically just carry on where you are. Sorry, you basically come in at exactly the same time Sutton comes in. You've got a small enough a gap. They can figure it out. Oh! Sutton hitting Blackhall. Blackhall turned around. Blackhall losing 2 positions. Sutton losing position to Pete Newman there. Newman leads the race. Sutton onto pit road. Newman onto pit road. Blackhall back onto the racetrack. But Blackhall, oh my word. I have to say, Brenton, what a moment there for that driver of, oh, I can't believe that, Blackhall.
That's really disappointing there. It's entering pit lane, and Sutton has just driven into the back of him, and not a lot of room there to correct. And that's twice that Jake's been hit tonight, so he's not going to be massively thrilled to get up 4 o'clock in the morning for that. But that's going to really compromise his race, and also Sutton's race as well. Like, Newman has now got the job done. We'll have to look out for where Hall is coming through.
Oh, here we go. Ben Palmer towards turn 1. Big battle for the lead here. Ashley Sutton exiting the pit lane. It's going to be side by side on towards turn 2. No, it's not. Ashley Sutton takes the lead out of the pit lane exit. So Ashley Sutton in P1, certainly going to be argued there for a few drivers. Some big words to be said after the race. Sutton tagging the Australian on towards the pit lane entry for the moment. So Ben Palmer in P2. Now, his tyres heated up. Are they up to temperature? Can he pounce on Ashley Sutton, currently effectively in first position? Burke currently holds that first position for the moment, led 1 lap in this race, has not made that pit stop. Oh, Sutton bouncing towards that, or through that turn 5 chicane. Very, very lucky to keep it together. Good car control, and that's allowed Ben Palmer will back into this battle for the lead because Sutton really trying to push in the early stages of his stint.
I tell you who what is going to be the winner of this. It's likely to be Paul Smith in that number 33 car. He's made himself a pit stop. He's made himself 2 pit stops here today, according to our timing and scoring. So he might well still be the victor here today. We'll figure that one out as this race progresses. 14 minutes here to go on RaceSpotTV. Stephen Burke, Miles Galazzi in P number 2. P3, Paul Smith is now into P number 2. Because Miles Galazzi is on to pit road. Let's get ourselves a look at him then, making himself that pit journey. But Stephen, it's that whole thing. He's playing offense versus defense, and I think for a moment Sutton forgot about the big picture there.
Sutton's spitting again.
Oh, so Ashley Sutton might indeed, it could be a penalty maybe for Ashley Sutton through a speeding penalty. Indeed, we'll have to say his race now is effectively over for any chance of taking the win. And, well, lots of words to be said. Impressive, though, in race 1. Still impressive in race 2. Just couldn't get out of the incidents there. So Ashley Sutton slowly come towards the end. He's making a stop as well. So a change of tyres for him. A second pit stop for Ashley Sutton, dropping outside. Or he's currently in, now he's currently outside the top 10 as Matthew Bunn passes him and enters that 10th position. Jake Blackwell also passes him. This is currently, as you mentioned, actually, Will, Paul Smith could indeed take the win of this race if he can keep it together. He made that second pit stop on the pace car lap, so we'll find out if that's indeed was on a green flag lap or not.
Gap is currently classified from P1 to P2 as 13.9 seconds. Stephen Burke hasn't hasn't pitted yet here today, but the gap that's important is Paul Smith to Ben Palmer, as actually Paul Smith is on pit road once again then. So Paul Smith, well, this will be splash and dash. So Paul Smith, he will lose that second place to Stephen Burke for the time being. Palmer now up into 3rd even. Stevens in 3rd. Newman in 4th. Burke is staying on the racetrack, but he's almost a lap ahead right now of Paul Smith. But for Paul Smith, well, this will be a case more than anything else of, can he consolidate that second position on the racetrack right now?
Oh, very long pit stop for Paul Smith. Look at this, still in the pit lane as well, so he's going to lose more and more time. Ellis Stevens, Pete Newman passing him. He's currently in 5th position as well, so he's revving the engine for quite a while as well, Paul Smith. He can't get out of his box. So effectively now, Brenton, we talk about Ben Palmer being our effective leader as Paul Smith finally gets out of his box.
Yeah, this is where the strategy comes into place, and Smith made those 2 pit stops, we know, during the safety car period. But, who would have thought right now that we would have Michael Hall and Ashley Sutton racing this far back in the field, 13th and 14th, I think they are at the moment. These guys are the cream of the crop, and they've had their incidents this race, and they've got a lot of work to do to make their way up to the front.
Talk about drivers making their way through the field. Ellis Stevens from 18th up into 4th. That's how you get out of trouble there for him, although I hope he has made his pit stop under green flag conditions. So yeah, he's the biggest mover currently inside the top 10 for the moment. So Ellis Stevens, good job from him there. Into P4, I think he still has to make his pit stop though, so I might be wrong on that. 11 minutes remaining in this race. He's currently stuck behind P. Newman in 3rd position. Plenty of time for anything to happen as well. We know race 1's 20 minutes. That race wasn't over to the final couple of minutes, Will. So now, in this race, 10 minutes to go. Plenty of racing still to come ahead of us. Ellis Stevens continues for another lap in P4. This is where we see drivers earn their money. In the latter stages of the event, keeping your concentration for the whole 35 minutes, and especially for this last important 10-minute warning.
Oh yeah, and people forget about the fact that these races, 2 different races means that you've got to attack them in 2 different ways. A 20-minute sprint race, you're going to be gung-ho every single lap because you've got something to fall back on. It's that reverse grid position for race number 2. Race 2, you got to be more cautious. You're going to have to get the big guns out and, be nice, be paddock, etc. And if you mess up here, there's nothing you can do. Just ahead, by the way, of Jack Blacknell. got yourself the drivers of Matthew Bunn and Paul Smith battling for position. But what a wonderful view we have in front of us right now. We look from P number 11, Jack Bracknell, as there's two teammates battling for position right now, Brenton.
Yeah, we should see if these guys have got any kind of team orders here, but yeah, on board with Jake Blackwell in the Evolution Racing Australia car. Yeah, he's had no luck tonight whatsoever. We know that. He's got a good run out here. Defensive into the first chicane by Matthew Bunn.
Oh. Oh, look at Paul Smith up
Oh!
he's out of the race as well. Paul Smith, big contact there as well. Jake Blackwell slows down for a slowdown, but the big battle, or the big news here, actually, Paul Smith completely binning it out of the turn 5 chicane there. Wow.
Replay going to come up on your screens immediately there. Let's have a look at this one then from Paul Smith's perspective, and that's one of those random moments where you really don't ever want to see it. This is down into the second chicane. We have a look on board then with Paul Smith for just one moment, and we'll turn it back to our normal coverage afterwards. You can see at this point Paul Smith's wheel of angle is perfectly fine down in towards that. Is that the first? That's the first chicane. I take that on back. That's a clean chicane. Turn number 5. You see the Fleet TV, and look at that forwards and you're dragging upside down and around there for Paul Smith. Have you ever seen that, Brenton?
Not in one of these, I haven't, and but that's the thing with these curbs here and these chicanes. They are famous for doing this, especially in the old tin tops. You can't ride the chicanes in these cars at all. The suspension's too stiff, and we can see the result if you try too hard there.
There you can see another super slow-mo replay of that one, Johnny. 2 wheels. Well, you got Anchorman on top, but even Anchorman, Ron Burgundy himself, couldn't keep that car from flipping upside down.
Oh man, we love Paul Smith, our RaceSpotTV commentator, but that's memorable there. The race 1 of season 3, he's always going to remember that big tumble there. So another Kia on its roof. We always talk about every single event. There's another one to add to your collection there, so record that, keep it, and we do not distribute. We know it's RaceSpotTV owned, so don't. But Paul Smith in the pit lane, as we also talk about Brenton Stephen Burke pitting from the lead. He's currently down there in where he's disappeared off my timing screen. So Stephen Burke, for the moment, actually, no, he's in 6th position, and now he's attacking Russell Laidler.
And you've got 7 minutes to go. Sorry, so you carry on.
You'd have to think he's in a good position here to attack with the new tyres here, but he's got himself behind Russell Laidler. We saw Russell Laidler's genuine pace in race 1. And Russell's done a pretty good job again. From 14th on the grid, worked his way up to 5th position.
Brennan Bray, by the way, is going very slowly right now in that number 21 car. I'm not sure if he's out of fuel. He's doing a slowdown penalty, but that is Alexander Day in that number 21 car going at a minuscule speed right now.
No, it's Alexander Day, yeah, so it might indeed be a slowdown penalty, but for the moment, P4 and P3, Miles Glutzley and Ella Stevens side by side on towards turn 5. Big braking battle, Ella Stevens with the inside line bouncing over the chicane. He does not flip over, and that's allowed Miles Glutzley another run here in towards 6. The lovely left sweeping bend, and then braking zone into 7. This is where Russell Laidler ran wide in race 1. Now a bit of contact between the two, and Miles Glutzley gets in front. Good bumping and racing there, Will. So Miles Glutzley into that final podium position. Great aggressive driving from him. Yeah. Currently the top scored CQR driver.
The only thing I ask in those circumstances is it worth the team goal? The team goal being they want to get as many drivers, as many points as they possibly can down into the top 10 of the championship. Now, what contributes A team championship, and B is how well they can do it. So I can get like people from pure academia and people that just want a breakfast to just go out and get a mother chuffing at breakfast.
So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But actually, talking about team battles for the moment, I just had word that Michael Hall and Ashley Sutton made contact with each other, the two teammates. Michael Hall on his roof as well. So no love lost between them. Yeah, Michael Hall out of the race wheel. So, oh wow. So we talk about Glutzley being the top scored CQR driver. The other two strong CQR drivers as well making contact, and this race too is certainly one to forget for them too.
Yeah, it's not over for them as far as incidents goes. Let's have a look then and try and figure out what we can find there for the driver of Mars Galazzi. This is his own CQR, and that's not a CQR teammate. It stands to the final corner as we have a look on board with him then. And that's Miles Gillespie in the number 3 car. That is not a teammate. There'll be someone like Ben Palmer alongside him. Down on the run towards the final corner. Now down towards turn 1. Well, actually, I don't even know what really happened here.
Oh, a bit of, yeah, I think a bit of battling between those two. No love lost, as we mentioned. But with less than 5 minutes remaining, we look at the top 10 as Ben Palmer comes towards crossing the line with a few laps remaining. He's currently in P1 at the moment. 5.8 seconds in front of Pete Newman there in second position. 7.7 behind him in the final podium position is Miles Gillespie. Ella Stevens falling back behind Miles after that battle. He's currently 1.92 seconds now in fourth position. And then a big battle between those three. Russell Laidler and Stephen Burke right onto the back in 5th and 6th. And rounding out the top 10, Ashley Blake Hood making his way up through the field here for the reverse grid from 15th on the grid up towards 7th. And then we have Magic Sakovic, Jake Blackhall, I believe. No, he's not. So Magic Sakovic in 8th, Matthew Bunn 9th, and Liam Atkins rounds out the top 10. Brenton now, Ben Palmer, he's got a good comfortable lead. He's slowly going to get that race win. Good for him. Come towards, it's going to have a great, strategy for the season now. Win as many races as you can, capitalize on as many CQR blunders as you can, and last season finishing 3rd in the championship could be higher this season.
Just shows you how quick things can turn around. We saw the disaster he had in race 1. He's picked up the pieces race 2, there's no doubt about that. Led from pole position, has kept his nose clean. With a few laps to go, he's got the reward. Jake Blackhall, by the way, he's out of the race. He's popped his engine into the first chicane there, so not a great night for the young Australian, must be known. But Ben Palmer, this has serious implications already. You can only drop the one round, and I'm sure at this stage, people want to put a positive result in the bank nice and early.
So very interesting for Jake Blackhall, how he'll bounce back from a disappointing round. Lots of pace, qualified in 5th position in race 1. As we look at Pete Newman, actually 3.4 seconds behind Ben Palmer. Yeah, in the Pete Newman racing car as well, Will. But for the moment, though, this lap times last time around, a 36.5 for Ben Palmer. He's made a couple of mistakes. A 34.4 for Pete Newman. Slowly reeling in the leader here with 2.5 minutes remaining. The race not over for Ben Palmer or Pete Newman. Big battle here for the lead. It's 3.1 now, 3/10 in just 2-3 corners alone. This race could go down to the wire.
It could well do. We've got ourselves 2 minutes 16 seconds, and look at the gap there down in the mid-pack. You got yourself Stevenson Burke from Laidler, from Blake Hood. Full driver separation by just 1 second on the racetrack, Johnny. This one will be sorted out in the last couple of laps, I am sure, as we ride on board. That driver down in the middle of that one, that is the driver of the 802 car of Ashley Blake Hood.
Well, so Blake Hood now really, he can't really attack too much because the drivers in front are attacking. He's just going to have to play it patiently, find the small little gap to stick it up the inside. These 4 drivers, Ella Stevens, from Stephen Burke, from Russell Laidler, Ashley Blake Hood at the back of this little train at the moment, going into turn 7 for the moment. The lovely 4-corner turn at the moment. So look at this though. Russell Laidler's also might have a chance. No, he doesn't. He has had a poor exit. So now, so all these drivers into formation in this battle, and we look at the little competition for the lead as well. 2 seconds the gap between Ben Palmer and Pete Newman. 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining. So Ben Palmer now, will he get another lap and he crosses the line? This will be the final lap for Ben Palmer. Can he maintain his 2-second lead? And we look now, we go actually back to Russell Laidler, side by side into the final corner. He's going to be up the inside on the main straight, and Stephen Burke allows him through. Now Ashley Blake Hood has to pounce on this battle as well. So side by side with Stephen Burke, doesn't use the slipstream of Russell Laidler in front. That's really gonna, or it's not gonna help him at all, because Stephen Burke maintains 6th position. A big battle here in these final stages, Brenton.
Yeah, it is, but I'm looking up front. Newman is coming. I'm thinking that Palmer's pacing himself. This is the last lap, but big battles behind with Stevens, Laidler, Burke, Sakowitz and Blake Hood, who's just made that mistake on the exit there. It's cost him a position.
Oh, here we talk about Will. Pete Newman, he's getting ever so close. 15 seconds remaining, the final lap. So this is so important. He's got to push as hard as he can. He's got nothing to lose, Will. He's the driver behind him, Miles Gillespie. He's 10 seconds behind him, P3. So, final couple of corners for Ben Palmer. He might take the win. Can he keep it together through turn 7? And then the final chicane. Pete Newman slowly creeping in. 0.9 of a second the gap. I think Ben Palmer might have this one done and dusted. Fuel all checked. Final braking point checked. Now he's going to sweep on towards turn 10, and then coming across the main straight, Ben Palmer does indeed take the race win for race 2. Good win from him, slowly across the line, very close between him and Pete Newman. Pete Newman comes home in second position, and we wait 10 seconds for Miles Clutsley, who is wrapped with that third position, the final podium spot. Good job from Miles Clutsley there in P3. Ella Stevens comes home in fourth, just from Russell Laidler. Stephen Burke maintains 6th position ahead of Ashley Blake Hood, who dropped. I might have had a slowdown penalty actually, because Magic Sakovic is in 7. Yeah, so Ashley Blake Hood dropping down on that final lap. And then Matthew Bunn will come home in 9th. Ashley Sutton rounding out the top 10. Well, a great race here, we know, will from Ben Palmer to take the win from first position in race 2, taking advantage of the reverse grid rules and capitalizing on the incidents behind. So the race results for the moment, and so we know Ben Palmer taking the win, Pete Newman in second, and well, interesting race. We know a couple of drivers away from the lead lap, Brenton. This is what we look at for the moment. Robert Fagg there in 1 lap behind, couldn't really get, or, you know, disconnected in the first race. I think he had a little technical issue there as well. Michael Hall dropping down, Jake Blackhall, Paul Smith as well, who we thought might have maybe taken the win. Lots of drivers with plenty of potential and not able to capitalize on it today, especially those CQR team, minus Miles Clutsley.
Well, that's right. They had a few incidents involved. Poor old Robert Fagg, both races tonight, actually had a disconnect on the last lap. I'm not sure it cost him a position in the second race, but certainly cost him plenty of positions in race 1, so compromised his race 2 position, I would imagine. But yeah, great racing at the front. Ben Palmer didn't leave a lot at the end, but yeah, I think he's just paced himself beautifully.
Oh wow, great racing once again for season 3. We look at the next round. We'll have our post-race coverage for you as well, with a few interviews, and we'll get that for you after the commercial break. We know round 2 at Silverstone as well. Same round 2 as last season, different round in each championship. This is what we talk about, Brenton, how Jake Blackhall, especially how he had great pace. He says on to the next week, he's looking forward to the next one. How will he bounce back from a poor result here in the first round? Not just a poor race 2, but a poor race 1 as well. It's so important to keep a good mindset, and certainly looking at his comments after the race so far, I think he's certainly looking forward to Silverstone.
Well, hard not to look forward to the next week after he has just been bashed from pillar to post this race and the race previously. He'll be disappointed. Young fella had high expectations of the series, but it's one race. It's what, you know, there's plenty of time to go. We saw he's got the pace. He'll only get stronger from here, and hopefully as the series goes on, the boys might leave him alone and stop picking on him a bit. I'm not saying that as a derogatory to comment, but yeah, he did get bashed from pillar to post, and yeah, it's racing. It's good close racing, and unfortunately tonight Jake was the victim.
So Jake Blackhall down there in 14th position. We'll look at the results for you again. So Ben Palmer in first position, Pete Newman in second, Miles Clutsley in P3, Ella Stevens in 4th, Russell Laidler in 5th, and then very close between him, only 3/10 in front of Stephen Burke there, who started 6th in race 2, finished in 6th. Good job from him as well. Magic Sakovic there in 7th position. We know his expectations to slowly make his way up towards the front of the field. Certainly doing that here today, finishing in the top 7. Ashley Blake Hood, good to show his pace out in round 1 for season 3. He could be a certain championship contender. Let's see how much motivation he maintains throughout this season. Then Matthew Bunn in 9th. Ashley Sutton rounding out the top 10. The rest of the drivers on the lead lap, Liam Atkins and Alexander Day. And then our non-finishers for today, at least not on the lead lap. Robert Fagg in 13th. Then Jake Blackhall, Michael Hall. Disappointing round for the championship winner from season 2. Not how he wants to defend his championship at all. And then Paul Smith in 16th. And then finally Keith Hamilton and Tyler Jones rounding out the field there. Well, we will head back for you shortly with hopefully a few interviews with the drivers afterwards. This is RaceSpot TV's coverage of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship, and we'll be back shortly in a few moments' time. Welcome back, everybody, to the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship here, live on RaceSpot TV. Having a few issues with the broadcast, we'll hopefully sort out in a few moments' time. For the moment, though, Brenton, we looked at that race. Ben Palmer, we know we talked about it, capitalizing on a great result here. third in the championship. No Dan Hunt in second from last season. Michael Hall having a poor finish. So technically out of those top 3 drivers who were battling for that lead last season, Ben Palmer's the one currently in race 2, really pouncing and capitalizing on that despite his poor finish in race 1.
Yeah, well, that's what evens it out, doesn't it? Like Ben had an instance in race 1 and trailed off the field, but yeah, got the job done in the second race. Pete Newman had 2 strong results, involved with an incident early in race 1. Be interesting to see what comes of that, but yeah, there was lots of different scenarios tossed up today, and some good close hard racing. 18 races, and no doubt they're looking forward to racing at Silverstone next week.
Yep, Silverstone indeed in 7 days' time for round 2. 8 rounds once again for season 3. A different race in a different country for each round. Something new for this season to mix things up. Silverstone there, Montreal, my favourite circuit in round 3, all the way on towards one of our home circuits of Phillip Island there, Brenton, in round 8 to wrap up the season. It's good to see a wide variety of tracks here.
It's such a credible series, isn't it? And the idea of having a different track in each country, I love that idea. And it's a series that's going to go from strength to strength, no doubt, as they go on.
Certainly is indeed. Join us in 7 days' time for another thrilling race of the Champions of the Future World Touring Car Championship. One of the most entertaining series you will ever see here with touring cars. So great job from all the drivers once again. For now, though, we will wrap things up and we will join you in 7 days' time from Silverstone. This has been a RaceSpotTV broadcast with Johnny Simon, Will Vincent and Brenton O'Brien in the commentary booth. See you in 7 days' time.